Hey, lovelies. ah, a frog-throated Lisa here. This is the effect of the smoke from all of the wildfires in Oregon. I am losing my voice because I'm inhaling particulates. I mean, I'm fine, and I really can't complain. We're safe here in the Willamette Valley. Everything's, very protected here, but yeah, lots of smoke. Anyway, welcome to day, I have to think for a second, 24 in hashtag 78 days, and we are moving now into the minor arcana. And I think I might end up filming a sort of introduction to the minors, and I might back up and do a little brief introduction to the majors as well. But I'll just say a few words here, which is that in many ways, the order in which one talks about the minor suits says a lot about the priorities or the assumptions that we make about the meaning of the minors. So if we think about the major arcana as recounting sort of this huge archetypal swath of experience, I've been exploring a kind of path of individuation, and I talked about it in my last video in terms of the Buddhist saying that comes from a 13th century Zen monk, Dogen, who says, to study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized or confirmed or verified. The verb depends on your translation. To be actualized or confirmed by the myriad things. So this idea that what it means to study or to dive into a deeply spiritual path begins with studying this body, heart, and mind. I mean, that's a kind of core tenet of my approach to tarot, my approach to life. That's at the core of my mindfulness. And then the idea that as we study that self, our present moment experience, including all of the emotions and thoughts and memories that come up in the present, that might be about the past or about the future, but this like just set of currents of life. As we investigate that, what we discover is all the ways in which this thing that I take to be this concrete self is tied to a whole universe. So that general kind of swath of experience where my individual self-discovery leads me to, if I pursue it wholeheartedly and with full oomph, leads me to this deepest integration with all things, with the world. That's the swath of experience, the trajectory, the set of lessons, the set of discoveries and challenges that make up the major arcana, this big archetypal mandala of human self-actualization. The minor suits also talk about the path of the self, but in, as many people have noted, in terms of a much more day-to-day kind of set of experiences, and how you pursue your trajectory through the minor arcana, as you understand it, says, as I was saying a minute ago, a lot about your assumptions of what the minor arcana is all about. So for instance, for what I'm about to say, I'm really indebted to Rachel Pollack's book, Tarot Wisdom, where she talks about the Golden Dawn's association of the four minor suits with Yud He Vav He, Yud He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton, the four letters that make up the unpronounceable name of God, Yud He Vav He, right? Which, by the way, we actually can pronounce, and we do, as Jehovah. Yikes. The unpronounceable name of God, Jehovah. Okay, so Yud He Vav He, these four letters in I mean, not just in Kabbalah, but I think in Jewish analysis of and exegesis of the Bible, going back centuries upon centuries, this sense of God as these this name that is beyond names ties into a notion of God's creation. And if we think about aligning Yud, He, Vav, He with the four suits, and this is something Rachel Pollack talks about, we can see the ways in which we've got two kind of male, kind of phallic-looking letters, the yud and the vav, and then two sort of receptacle kind of letters, they're sort of like cups, right, with the two hays. And so the classic Golden Dawn association is to associate the yud with the wands, with the fiery spark of creation. The first hay with the cups, the second vav with, which is sort of a long yud, with the swords, and the last hay with the pentacles. And so you get a kind of progression where the spark of God's, like let there be light, the spark of God on the waters, right, yields the division between heaven and earth. So we get in Yud He Vav He the divine word, the divine name. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. We get the divine name that forges creation. So that correlation of Yud He Vav He to the four suits suggests an ordering where first we have wands, then we have cups, then we have swords, and we culminate with pentacles. And if you look at the ordering within the pictorial key to the tarot of Waite, right? What you'll find is that he goes through the minor arcana in that ordering, starting with wands, moving into cups, then into swords, and culminating with pentacles. Emily Carding, in her Tarot of the She, interestingly also thinks about the four suits, and I think this is kind of a common way to think about them in terms of the rendering of material creation. So when she goes through in the Tarot of the She in her guidebook, she begins with swords because for her the swords, the suit of air is the suit of dreaming. And I'm trying to think, and I think then she talks about how dreaming needs to be actualized through the will, and so her next discussion is the suit of fire. And then she says from there, but then we need to integrate the emotions, and she moves into water. And lastly, she talks about the manifestation in the material world, and she talks about the suit of earth, her makers. So again, a kind of trajectory of creation that defines the four suits. For me, this is getting long. Oh no. Okay. For me, I am thinking about the tarot as a path that moves from the notion of a narrow sense of self to the big self with a capital S, this move from kind of the individual to a kind of sense of abundance where we are integrated with the whole world. So it's sort of a movement from the fool to the world, from Trump 0 to Trump 21. And then for me, because that's how I think about it, I see the four suits in relation to four different ways of realizing our interconnection with all things. And the most fundamental, basic way to think about our interconnection with all things is to think about the material world, the world of resources, the world of growing things, of eating, of giving, of taking, of receiving, the world of material resource. So I start with Pentacles. That's not where I end. So I'm going to be talking about the minor arcana, starting with the suit of Pentacles. And the deck I'm going to focus on is the Rider Tarot. And I'm going to be using, and actually, a little promo, this is for sale. If any of you are interested in acquiring said item, this is for sale. So this is a 70s set, and actually I have it listed on eBay. If you're interested, I can just drop me a note below and I'll point you to the eBay listing. But sorry for that shameless plug, but I really want this to find a good home, and I'm not using it. So this was a set that was came out in the 70s. This is the second edition of it. So I'm thinking early 70s, and it's got 3 books. One of them has been read. The other 2 appear to be in pristine condition. So it's got Eden's The Tarot Revealed. Then it's got Theodore Lawrence's The Sexual Key to the Tarot. We all need that. And then Mastering the Tarot by Eden Gray. Another Eden Gray. But the key element is this beautiful 1970s version of the Rider Tarot, which is just in really near mint condition. I mean, really, this is probably the nicest deck I own. So why am I selling it? Someone else should have it. I mean, I love my blue box tarot, but this one it really is kind of brand new, and it's just pristine. It doesn't look like it's ever been used. Anyway, it's just in beautiful shape. And of course, it's copyright free. And it doesn't smell like, old ladies or patchouli, or not that there's anything wrong with patchouli, or cigar smoke. So starting with the Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles. Now why I wanted to start with the Rider-Waite Tarot is because of the way in which the 4 aces in this deck bring home a fundamental truth of the aces. The way in which we can read each of these cards, I mean, not just as beginnings or the seed of their suit, but we can read each of these cards as gifts, as a divine gift, as the way in which the world offers up to us all of the energy that this suit represents. So the Pentacles, it's a world of care, of resources. It's a world of work, right? How we enact our energy and our efforts in the world of resources. It's a world where we have to figure out what it means to keep resources or to consume them, what it means to not have them, what it means to have them, what it means to weigh out our measure of this natural world, what it means to grow and cultivate and the time that it takes to do that, what it means to build and create and the time it takes to do that too, and what it means to then enjoy the harvest of our labors and to bring that into community. What does it mean to steward, to care for, to nurture, to share and command this natural world, this world of material goods, which is given to us in every moment? So, when the central symbols of this world, this natural world, this world of materiality, this world of life, one of the central images in the Rider-Waite Tarot is the garden. And of course, the garden being, in many ways, the Garden of Eden. What does it mean to live in nature in a seamless and stressless way? Is that even possible? So the Ace of Pentacles holds forth the full possibility of living in this world as in a garden, as in Eden, as in paradise, where everything is offered freely and everything is freely taken, where there is no sense of loss or gain, where all is in perfect harmony and community. I love the imagery of the aces in the Rider-Waite deck and the way they're all about gifts. They're all about this hand from the divinity, from the heavens, from the ether, offering up the element of the suit. But particularly this notion of gift seems important when it comes to the Pentacles. The whole of our lives, of our world, of our planet as gift. As I'm sitting here in a world that is burning up, a world of climate change, as Hurricane Irma is bearing down on Florida and the Caribbean, my family in Florida evacuating, is all of the evidence of our greed, and that's the impact of that greed on the world that we commonly share, as that's all around me. I just want to dig my heels deeply into this notion of natural abundance. Okay, that's a longish offering for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you as always for your practice. Bye.